walked around with bullet fragments still in his body. And now in death, some people want them removed to answer questions about what really happened.
The fragments in Governor Connally really are evidence of the crime, albeit 29 years ago, very relevant evidence, and they should be extracted and examined.
The Warren Commission concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone when he shot the president. Their entire case hangs on what's called the single bullet theory, that one bullet passed through the president and caused all of John Connally's wounds. Investigative author David Lifton, who wrote Best Evidence, is eager to test the theory. He says fragments left behind in Connally's body should match the infamous single bullet. But if they don't,
then we are talking about hard physical evidence of a second shooter in the assassination of President Kennedy, of a conspiracy.
According to the Warren Commission, 3 bullets were fired at the president that day. One missed, another struck Kennedy in the back of the head, causing his fatal injury. But a heartbeat before that happened, the infamous single bullet hit its mark.
What you have to have happen is that the bullet exits the front of the president's neck and then goes on, enters under the armpit on the right side of the governor, exits below the nipple, then wounds his wrist, going in the dorsal side, out the volar side, and then this bullet, having gone through the wrist and fractured the wrist in several places, then goes into the thigh and lodges in the thigh so deep that there's now a fragment, which we want recovered post-mortem from the governor, that's up against in the bone, okay, and then somehow works its way out and is found on the stretcher.
The bullet turned up on a stretcher in Parkland Hospital, where the president and governor were taken after the shooting. It had nary a scratch on it. It was almost perfect. Critics called it the magic bullet because they said it would have to be magic to do all that. According to x-rays taken at the time, tiny fragments were left in Connally's thigh. David Lifton says there might also be particles in his wrist and chest.
I would really like to see x-rays, top-flight radiological work done on the chest, the wrist, and the thigh, and any metal has to be removed.
The first job, according to Lifton, would be to weigh these tiny bits of metal. He says it wouldn't take much to blow the single bullet theory out of the water.
If it turns out that the weight is way out of the ballpark, if it turns out that the size is way out of the ballpark, if it turns out that the chemical composition is way out of the ballpark, then there's something serious going on here, and that shooting did not take place the way the Warren Commission and the House Select Committee concluded it did.
Governor Connally himself never believed the magic bullet theory and said so. He always believed a different bullet hit him than hit the president.
I am convinced beyond any question of a doubt that the first shot that was fired did not hit me. Then I was hit.
Yesterday, researchers petitioned the Attorney General and the FBI to remove the fragments before Connally was buried. Even Oliver Stone, who directed the movie JFK, got into the act, but it didn't happen. The family said no. The bullet fragments were interred with Connally, but JFK researchers hope their secrets won't be buried forever.
There is no reason not to do this. If the last name of this man was Doe, if it was John Doe and not John Connally, you can be sure it would be done, and would be done promptly.
As interesting as this evidence may be, something tells me that there never will be enough evidence to convince either camp that their side is wrong, the others might be right.
Lifton is a fascinating man, and I know he sells a lot of books with his theory, but he's also quite compelling to listen to.
I think this controversy will never die.